Okay, today we're gonna talk about know thyself. This is super important, and I just really wanna emphasize for you how important this discussion is gonna be. Understanding who you are is gonna be foundational to how you do well and how you enjoy your journey through consulting and really just kind of the rest of your career. This is applicable whether you do consulting or not, but I think it's super relevant and important as you become a product and a service that you're selling in the market. Your value goes up the better you are at something, and the better you know yourself, the better you're gonna be. So let me kind of dig into this a little bit. So in general, I think people know this, but when we tell them, it seems to really resonate and make a difference. You just cannot fake this stuff. You can't fake your interest. You can't fake your experience, and you will be uncovered. And frankly, you just don't even want to try to do that. The anxiety of trying to do that is too much. And eventually you're gonna be exposed and it's a bad look. So I think, just understanding that you can't fake this is super important when we talk about knowing yourself and really getting in touch with that. So what you're trying to do here is you're trying to figure out what you do well and what you enjoy doing. And what's super counterintuitive, and we go into this much more in our courses and some of our other content, is the more specialized you are and the more you narrow, the better it actually is. It's so counterintuitive that people end up blowing themselves up. And I'm gonna tell you a good story and kind of a funny story of how I learned this lesson the hard way. So when I was early in kind of getting our firm going, I had a business partner that was more senior than me, super smart guy, a guy named John Bender. He's actually got another firm now that specializes in mergers and acquisitions, integration, and they're super successful, super smart guy. And he lives on the West Coast in the Bay Area, very well connected in the high-tech industry. And as we were getting our firm going, he got one of his bosses and mentors, I won't mention his name, but he was a top 5 executive at Hewlett-Packard, HP. And this executive, of course, is like connected to everybody. And he gets us some good meetings to go out there and pitch what we do and try to land some business. So we go out to these meetings and we made the cardinal mistake. And we went out there and we told them that we could do everything. We would be in these pitches. We talked about, oh God, we can run these big business transformations. We can do mergers and acquisitions. We can do project management. We can do process work. We can do systems implementation. And I'll never forget, it was one of the big lessons of my career, was after the first meeting, this executive, we walk out and he stops us when we get to the parking lot. He says, guys, let me give you some feedback. You guys are telling them that you can do everything, and I'm your friend, and I want to believe you, and I don't believe you. So they definitely don't believe you. What you've got to tell them is, what do you do better than everybody else? Just tell them that one thing that you do better. And tell them why you do it better and show some enthusiasm around it. That was a light bulb moment for me. And I want to emphasize and drill this into your brain. If you never learn anything else from us, learn this, whether you ever do consulting or not. The more that you narrow down, and by the way, in our curriculum, you can learn a lot about this. You can have multiple specialties, But the more that you can talk about yourself in terms of a specialty, you can present multiple different options. There's probably only a few, depending on the client situation. But the more you can specialize and clarify simply, it's like the elevator pitch, if you've ever heard the elevator pitch, right? You get on an elevator and you got 10 seconds to tell somebody what you do and what you're good at or what your company does. That's what we're really talking about here. And foundational to that, and if it takes you 1 hour to figure this out, great. It likely will take 10 hours, 30 hours, or 100 hours. It doesn't matter how much time it takes. You've got to figure that out. You've got to know thyself so that you can even explain that simply and crisply in a way that you believe to somebody else. That's why knowing yourself is foundational and so important to everything that you do going forward. So let me give you a few ways to figure this out. And frankly, there's self-help gurus out there. It's not hard to find this kind of information, books and the internet and those sorts of things. But again, it gets back to what do you enjoy? What do you have a passion for? What I like to do is tell people to think through experiences you've had. And if you're young, part of the value is getting a lot of experiences really fast, which by the way is why consulting is a great industry to be in, because you're going to get these experiences super fast. But thinking back on what you were doing when you were in the flow of work, when you almost lost yourself in the work. If you're an athlete, or you'll hear athletes talk about this, if you were an athlete, you had this experience when you're in the zone. They talk about being in the zone. The same thing happens with work. When you're in the flow and it's almost like it's not work, it's fun. Those are the type of things you're looking for, and then you're trying to craft a narrative around it. You're trying to explain yourself in those ways and the value that you bring to other people and other companies, and you want people to put you onto projects in those scenarios. For me, that's how I've gone through thinking about it. The other things to think about is, are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? What type of situations do you thrive in? Do you thrive in a team environment, or are you better solo, right? So these are the things to think about as you're kind of starting to tease all of this apart. So let me give you how I've thought through this for myself, okay? Hopefully that'll help. So one of the things that I love is I love the mission of working on projects. I'm kind of like a mission-oriented person, like we're gonna go take this hill, and that type of stuff is interesting, and I kind of thrive in that environment. So I like tougher projects. To say that in a different way, what I'm not good at, and the feedback I've received throughout my career, I'm not a very patient person. I'm not the kind of person that sits still well. I'm not the kind of person that can just go to a job and just do that thing over and over again. I like change. I like dynamic environments. That may not be you, right? You may just be the person that likes your routine and you like to grind it out, do the same thing. By the way, there are those type of roles within consulting. But for me, it was important to think about that so that I knew how to ask for the right things. A lot of this comes down to asking your client or asking the people that are going to staff you for the right type of things. And clients love that, by the way. They resonate with you helping them put you in the right position to create value for them. So I like tough, hard projects, and that makes me a little bit unique, right? A lot of people don't like that. So I know that about myself, and I've really learned that over time. I like clients that are doing stuff. They almost maybe care a little too much about the company or the project or the mission of what's going on, almost to an unhealthy degree, right? They are not the person or the client that just shows up and has a job. their job is a bigger deal to them. Their career is a bigger deal to them than the average Joe. And I'm not criticizing the average Joe. We need those people. Those people are highly valuable. But the type of client that I resonate with, that I love, is like getting it. They're getting after it. They want to do stuff. And I get kind of like sucked in and geeked out on that. And they resonate with my geeking out. And we have something in common. So that's the type of person I work really well for. Another thing I've learned about myself is there's almost like a need to be valuable. And this ties into some of the other things I've said, but I need to be creating value and have people telling me, oh, that was awesome, right? Like I'm almost a people pleaser. And I know that there's a lot of people out there, the people that work for me, I tend to identify those people. To be perfectly honest, the people who are helping me shoot these videos right now, they are those type of people. A lot of the people that work around me on consulting projects, they're those type of people. But I'm one of those type of people. The clients telling me that I'm doing a great job is frankly worth more to me than the money that they pay me. I like the money too, but the value to somebody else is hugely important to me. And that's something I've really learned about myself. And I've had to think, again, just know thyself, think deeply about this. That's something I've really had to learn over time. I am not the type of person that does well in you need to be here 8 to 5 in the office. It almost stresses me out I have to be somewhere on time. The way I was raised, we were very time oriented. And so I'll get like anxiety. If you tell me I need to be there at 8, man, to me, that really means 7:45. And now I've got to back up from all these sorts of things. So to me, a little bit more of a easier morning routine is easier. I'm almost a creative person, and I'll thrive and I'll deliver more value for clients and the people around me if I can just not have to spend my mental energy getting somewhere at 7:45 a.m. and all of the things that could mess up on my drive and now I'm late. All of that is mind power that I had to use that I couldn't use on other things. So an 8 to 5 job for me, it's not a good look. I'll do it if I have to. It's just not my ideal situation. And that's something I've really had to learn and think about over time. Another thing that I just hate, that I just frankly, I can't get over it, is I cannot stand people that are time wasters. It's a non-starter for me, and in a way, they'll put me in an unproductive space. It's almost hard to avoid these people, especially when you're working on big projects. There's just this inevitable, there's just people that are there that are time wasters. But I know myself enough to know that when I'm on the hook for clients, I don't surround myself with those people. And as much as possible, I try to isolate myself from those folks, even if it means I lose some business or I don't go do that project. The more that I'm in that situation where I'm away from those people, the more I'm going to thrive and the more clients are going to ask me to do more and more stuff. And it tends to just grow on itself. But I really have learned over time about myself that I almost have a phobia of these people and I just avoid them at all cost. So one of the other things that I've kind of learned about myself is that some travel for me, and when you're in consulting, that's always like an option. For me, some travel is okay. As I've gotten older and I've had kids, I definitely don't want to travel all the time, but I used to love traveling when I was younger. Even when I was married, I would be away from my wife, Monday through Thursday, and that wasn't like a strain on our relationship. When I had kids, it was a strain because I just didn't want to be away from them. For me, that's where I was, but to be honest, man, a break every now and then from my family, it's almost like a little mini vacation. So that may sound crude or harsh, but like my wife knows that, she accepts it, my kids know that, they accept it. But that's how deeply I think you should go with know thyself. So a little mini vacation that I'm doing, I'm creating value for clients, and I'm getting away and I'm refreshing. I'm getting paid to do it, and they're paying for my travel. That's almost a benefit or a blessing these days. So I know that about myself, and I know that being in that situation, it opens up doors, right? I tell clients that's available, and then they know how to use me in certain ways. So again, just knowing that about myself and knowing that that's almost a great thing helps to create value. So hopefully this has helped you understand the mindset and the reason why spending your time to know thyself is worth it. Hopefully me talking through my weirdness and just the level of effort that I've gone through to know myself helps. I will say, just for me on my journey, the more that I'm in the situation that I thrive in, the better I do, the more clients ask me for, and the more revenues go up, right? Whether it's my bill rate, whether it's staffing other people, whether it's just this continual them putting me on different projects and I never have to roll off of a project. I can just tell you that has really worked for me, and hopefully it'll work for you too. So hopefully this helped. If it didn't, let us know, good or bad. Please let us know the feedback, and we'll just continue to improve the content.